What's up, guys? We are back. Fitness Profit Multiplier, Anthony and Jimmy. Today we got a jam-packed episode. But before we get into how to add 10K in your gym in the next 30 days, which we're going to lay out for you guys very simply, we have big news. We're hosting our first live masterclass on maxing out your small group personal training facility in the next 90 days on June 22nd at 1 p.m. So in order to register for that, you need to click the link below or head on over to www.fitnessprofitmultiplier.com/webinar to register and save your seat. So if you like this episode today, because we're going to break down how you can add 10K in your business in the next 30 days, you're going to love the webinar. So head on over to fitnessprofitmultiplier.com/webinar and reserve your seat for that. But 10K in your business doesn't sound like much, right? Like 10K, but 10K is good. Like, I'd be very happy if I get an extra 10K in my wallet, in the next 30 days. So how do we do that? Is it complicated? Is this a complicated system? And we're going to tell you, no, it's not. You're going to need probably 15 clients to sign up in order to achieve this. 15. Think about that. That's crazy. But first, let's get into it, Jimmy. What's the do nots here kind of?
Right. So you'll see a lot of ads out there and things. People are like, add 150K to your business in a year, add 10K in a month, add 30K in whatever, right? And we have to realize how not to do it and how to actually do it. So let's go over how not to do it. And this comes down to your model. Really comes down to your model is what we're talking about. So we crunch the math here real quick, and Anthony will give us the drum roll to the final solution, the way to actually do it, and then I'll dovetail on it. So there's two ways really not to do it. So if your model is boot camp and you have a low ticket, right, $150 a month, let's say, okay, the amount of members you have to add to your facility to get an extra 10K is 66 members to add 10K at $150, okay? 66. So you could send us a comment or send us a message and say that you've done this, but I've been hard pressed to see anybody that's gaining 66 bootcamp members in 1 month. That's a lot of bodies and that's a lot of leads. So, especially if you're looking at, sorry.
So yeah, especially if you're looking at churn rate being so high. I mean, you have to replace the people you lost. The 66 clients. If you have a good closing percentage, you still need like 100 leads at least. No, way more than that to get 66, even at a low ticket.
Yeah, because if you're converting on, let's say you're converting on Facebook at a okay clip, which is a 10% full conversion into membership, right? Which is okay, right? Just think about that. You need a ton of members or ton of leads. You need like 600, right? 600 leads in a month is a crazy amount. And how are you going to call and follow up with all those people and not burn out your entire market by getting 600? And you got to get 600 leads a month in perpetuity, right? Over and over, because your churn rate is going to kick some of those people out and all this. So my boot camp is so hard. Even if you're charging 200 a month, that's still 50 members to add 10K, right? So there's other solutions. There's easier ways to do it. And Anthony's crunched some numbers to figure out the easier way to do it in the models that we run. But your model kind of determines this, and it's tough to add 10K with boot camp in a month, really.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about this all in the webinar too, guys. So if you guys didn't register for that now, go do that right now. fitnessprofitmultiplier.com/webinar. But the model is very important, like Jimmy said. But ultimately, we can add 10K to your business in the next 30 days by just doing these two things. So the ultimate model to do this in the shortest amount of time with the least amount possible is going to be small group personal training, which is what we specialize in, and the bolt-on of one-on-one. Now, the bolt-on on one-on-one I like because it's the higher ticket sale, right? People are paying high top dollar, and it keeps your trainers busy on off hours. The key is you got to have your training set up so that you focus on your small group personal training at the key times, and the one-on-ones are around that. You can keep your trainers busy, and you could grow this facility and really max it out. But I'm getting ahead of myself here. So the simple math of this, how do we add 10K to your business? Well, very simple. And we just kind of did like standard numbers here. So you might charge a little more, you might charge a little less, but standard for personal training, one-on-one personal training, is about 120 bucks an hour, give or take, right? 120 bucks an hour. Now, average for small group personal training, which is a max of 6 people to one trainer, is average about 40 bucks a session, and give or take. So with that said, you need to be selling 3 times a week memberships. Okay, that's the key here. You got to sell 3 times a week memberships. For a small group, you're charging 400, and for one-on-one, you're charging 1,200 bucks. Now, in order to add 10K to your business in the next 30 days, you need to sell 5 people into the one-on-one program at 1,200 bucks a pop. That's $6,000 in reoccurring revenue, especially if you set this up correctly. And then you need to add 10 clients, only 10, into small group at 400 bucks a pop. That's 4K. So if we do 6K plus 4K, that's 10K of new business with only 15 new clients signing up. And to get those 15 new clients, you probably need about 100 leads, give or take. 120, something like that. So very simple.
Very simple. We can take it a step back if you guys would like, if you guys aren't so on with the one-on-one side of things. If we look back at it, bootcamp, 66 members. If you're just going small group alone, 25. And it could be a little bit less. It could be more like 20, because depending on if you're at 400 or 500 per month, you can toggle that up or down. But let's just say 25 at 400. So at 400 a month, 25 members is going to be equivalent to 10K in additional revenue. So 25 members at 400, even though 400 may be a little bit harder to sell, you got to be a little more skilled, you got to be in a good market, is going to be way more worth your time than trying to get to 66 members at 150. So if nothing else, this is a call to arms to say, raise your rates, because it's hard. I mean, the big businesses, the big franchises that do low ticket have big budgets behind them, big marketing spend, and they have this machine that just packs as many people into a room as possible. And they don't have capacity issues like we might, right? They can go 30 people, 40 people in a session, and they don't care about the service as much, and they're just kind of churning and burning and bringing more people in at that lower clip. But for us, with more limited budgets and, not these big giant marketing machines, having a higher rate makes you win as the small guy in this industry.
Yeah, and think about it, guys. How much easier is it to maintain and manage 15 new clients as opposed to 66? That's a lot of people to manage. There's a lot of billing issues. That's a lot of headaches. They want to come this time. They want to come that time. 15 clients is very, very manageable. And that's 10K added to your revenue there. Now, I know what you're probably saying. Oh, my market's not going to want that. I don't know if they'll pay that. Well, then it just becomes down to a sales issue. And sales can be fixed. You could train yourself to do sales to fix all these problems and overcome these objections. But you got to be working smarter, not harder. And we're in a limiting vehicle, like guys, let's face it. As personal trainers and having these facilities, we're in a limited vehicle as to how much money we could actually make. Right? You're not going to make $10 million out of your gym, unfortunately. It's just not going to happen. So you need to kind of think with the mentality of more from less, because there's only a certain amount of people that live in your area. So you got to try to get as much as you can out of them. And the way to do that is exactly like we said, focus on raising your prices. Be the premium place, not the boot camp place, because you'll make way more in the long run doing that. More profit. And again, more profit means you can pay your trainers better, which means your clients will stay longer, which means your lifetime value will go up, which means you'll start to have more freedom, more profit, more money, and ultimately a better life out of your gym. And if you guys want to dive more into this stuff, you should join us on that webinar, fitnessprofitmultiplier.com/webinar, June 22nd at 1 p.m. And until then, we'll see you guys on that webinar.